No one even noticed her sitting there, in a classroom full of noise, color, and chatter. Emma was invisible. She didn't speak much. She didn't laugh. She didn't cause trouble. But she saw everything. That morning, she walked in with a small card in her hand. It was Jessica's birthday. Jessica, the queen bee of 7th grade. The kind of girl whose locker smelled like designer perfume. ... And whose smile came with a price. Emma held out the card. It was simple, handmade. A tiny flower glued on the front. Jessica snatched it. Laughed. Did you get this out of the trash? The whole group burst into giggles. Emma just stood there, silent, her fingers shaking a little. Jessica wasn't done. Hey guys, since Emma came to the party, let's make her part of the game. And that's when it started. They blindfolded her, told her it was a surprise, led her into the school gym where the party was being held. She didn't resist. She thought, maybe, just maybe, they were going to include her instead. They hung a balloon over her head, tied her hands, and laughed as they shouted, time to hit the piñata. Someone swung a foam bat, then another, then harder. They weren't hitting the balloon. They were hitting her. Emma didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there, face hidden, arms tied, body flinching with every strike. They thought it was funny. They called it a game. They said she should be grateful to be part of the birthday fun. What they didn't know was that Emma's dad was watching. Not just a regular dad, Detective Daniel Carter. 17 years on the force, SWAT certified, and he had just pulled into the school parking lot to surprise his daughter for lunch. What he saw on the gym security feed made his blood run cold. Emma blindfolded, surrounded, being used as a joke. His badge was off. His rage was on. And his backup was less than 4 minutes away. To be continued. The school receptionist had barely looked up when the glass doors flew open. Detective Carter didn't wait for permission. His badge hung around his neck, but today, ... It wasn't for show. His boots pounded against the tile, each step echoing, louder than the last. Eyes locked on the live security feed from the gym. Dispatch, he growled into his radio. Code Blue. Assault in progress at Roosevelt Middle School. Request SWAT support. Immediate. He didn't need backup. But today, he wasn't thinking like a cop. He was thinking like a father. Back in the gym, Jessica was recording the whole thing. Hashtag Piñata Girl. She laughed, pointing her phone at Emma. Emma's shoulders slumped. Her knees buckled. One of the boys had hit her too hard. That time, a purple bruise was blooming on her arm. Still, no one stopped. Not the kids. Not the so-called teacher standing in the corner, pretending not to notice. And then, boom! The gym doors slammed open so hard, they bounced off the walls. All heads turned. Emma didn't move. She couldn't even see what was coming. But Jessica's smirk died on her lips. There, standing in full black tactical gear, was Detective Carter, and behind him, 4 armed SWAT officers, weapons holstered but fury blazing in their eyes. Everyone away from the girl. Now, his voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was command. The bat dropped. Phone slipped from hands. And for the first time that day, Emma breathed. Jessica stuttered. It was just a game. We were joking. She's fine. Carter walked straight past her, untied his daughter's wrists, removed the blindfold gently. His hands trembled. Em, it's me. You're safe now. Her knees gave out, but he caught her. She looked up at him, bruised and blinking. Daddy? Yeah. Baby? I got you. Then he stood, turned to face the room. Everyone froze, because his next words weren't for Emma. They were for every single Person watching. You think this is funny? He said, looking at the crowd. You think hurting a quiet kid makes you powerful? His voice dropped dangerously low. Well, guess what? You hurt the wrong girl. And now? There were going to be consequences, real ones. Federal level ones. The gym was silent, as if someone had hit mute on the entire world. Even the birthday decorations, bright pink banners and metallic balloons, seemed out of place now, like a cruel joke hanging in the background of something much darker. Detective. Carter stood tall, his arms wrapped around his daughter, holding her like something fragile and sacred. Emma's face was blotchy with tears, her cheek red from where one of the hits had landed. But her eyes were the worst part. They weren't full of pain. They were empty, like someone had turned off. The light inside her, the SWAT officers fanned out, slow and steady. No weapons drawn, but their presence was enough to send shivers through the room. Jessica clutched her phone, the camera app still open. This was just a prank, she mumbled. You're overreacting. Officer Mills, the tall one with the sharp jaw and colder eyes, stepped up behind Carter. We have multiple angles. From the gym cameras. Recorded audio. Leave witnesses. Assault. Harassment. Attempted injury. Want me to keep going? Jessica turned pale. A boy in the back whispered, Dude, her dad's like real SWAT. Another whispered, We're screwed. But Carter wasn't even looking at them anymore. He was kneeling in front of Emma, his voice low. Tell me what happened, sweetheart. All of it. Emma hesitated, then her lip quivered. They told me I was invited. That maybe this year they'd be nice. Carter's face tightened. His jaw clenched so hard it clicked. Emma went on, her voice soft. They blindfolded me. Said it was a surprise game. They laughed. I thought I was finally part of something. She looked up at him. I thought they liked me. Carter closed, his eyes breathing deeply, trying not to lose control, trying to stay a cop. When every cell in his body just wanted to burn the world. The school principal came running, huffing and panicked. What's going on here? Why are there? He stopped when he saw Carter's badge and the armored vests. Detective Carter? The principal asked, trying to sound calm. Can we talk in private? No, Carter replied, not even glancing at him. We're doing this out loud, where everyone can hear. The principal hesitated, unsure this is just a misunderstanding. Kids play rough sometimes. We've warned them about bullying, but she has bruises, Carter interrupted. She was blindfolded and beaten in your gym at a school event, supervised by one of your teachers. The principal's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Officer, Mills stepped forward again. We've secured the footage. You'll want to get legal on the line. Jessica's voice broke through the tension. She's making a big deal out of it. She always acts like a victim. Everyone turned. She's weird, okay? She stares at people and draws creepy pictures and sits alone. She wanted attention. There it was. The real reason. Jealousy, cruelty, fear of someone. Different. Emma flinched, but Carter stood, took 2 slow steps toward Jessica. Let me explain something to you, he said. My daughter is quiet because this world hasn't earned her voice yet. Jessica shrank back. She watches, she listens. She sees everything, and instead of kindness, you gave her cruelty. Instead of friendship, you gave her fists. You used my daughter as a joke. His voice was cold steel now, and now you're going to learn what happens when people fight back. Officer Mills spoke into his radio, requesting juvenile processing unit. We've got confirmed minor-on-minor assault, organized harassment, and willful endangerment on school property. 5 suspects. Parents need to be contacted. Gasps echoed. A few students started to cry. Jessica's mom stormed into the gym seconds later, stilettos clicking on the hardwood floor. "You can't arrest children," she shouted. "This is outrageous." Carter looked at her without blinking. "You should be more concerned with what kind of child you raised." That shut her up. Outside the gym, more police vehicles had pulled, and parents were arriving, phones buzzing, whispers spreading like wildfire. And inside that chaos, Emma stood, holding her dad's hand, still trembling but standing. He leaned down and whispered, "You don't have to go back to this school." Emma looked up. "Then where will I go?" He smiled for the first time that day. "Anywhere you want. And next time someone tries to hurt you," he pointed at his badge, "they'll have to go through all of us." The teacher who had ignored everything? Suspended. The students involved? Juvenile charges pending. Some expelled? The school district? Under investigation for neglecting repeated complaints from Emma's file. And Emma? She didn't disappear. She started to write. She told her story. Online, in drawings, in journals. And kids, just like her, found courage through her voice. The girl, who once stood silently at the edge of the room, was now the reason others stood up. 2 days later, Roosevelt Middle School was unrecognizable. News vans lined the street. Cameras rolled. Microphones swung toward angry parents, confused students, and embarrassed staff. The headline had exploded online. SWAT team called after bullied girl beaten at school birthday party. But this wasn't just some viral moment. This was a reckoning. Emma hadn't returned to school, not because she was hiding, but because her father refused to let her step into that building again without full accountability. At home, Emma sat at the dining table with a drawing pad in front of her. She sketched with calm, steady hands. Her latest piece, a girl in a blindfold, standing still in a storm of bats and laughter. But behind her, a shadow in full SWAT armor stood like a wall. Her protector. Her dad. Detective Carter was on his 3rd call of the morning. This one with the district superintendent. "I don't want excuses," Carter said. "I want records, emails, every report my daughter filed or that anyone filed on her behalf." "She never reported anything," the voice replied. Carter narrowed his eyes. "Check again. And while you're at it, ask yourself why teachers ignored a literal assault in their gym." The man STAMMERED. Carter hung up. Then he pulled open a folder one he had been building himself. Inside, screenshots from Emma's text messages, anonymous. Student testimonies from kids who had seen the bullying, a teacher's report from 2 months ago, marked handled internally. He knew what that meant. Covered up, buried. Well, not this time. Meanwhile, across town, Jessica sat in her living room. Tears streamed down her face. Her phone buzzed non-stop with hate messages. "You're a monster. How could you hit someone like that? Your dad's money won't save you now?" Even her old friends had ghosted her. One had posted a TikTok saying, "I always thought Jessica was mean. But this is next level psycho." Her mother was on the phone again, pacing. "No, we're not doing an apology video. That'll just make us look guilty." Jessica hugged her knees on the couch. No parties. No messages. No followers. And worst of all, no power. Back at the Carter house, Emma finally spoke. "Dad?" "Yeah, baby. Why did they hate me so much?" The question came out like a whisper, like something she had been holding in for years. Carter sat down beside her. "They didn't hate you, Em. They hated what they didn't understand. You're smart. You're different. You see the world in ways they don't. That scares people who are weak inside." Emma blinked. I just wanted them to like me." "I know," he said softly. "But you were never meant to fit in with kids like that. You were meant to rise above them." 3 days later, the school board called a hearing. Parents filled the auditorium, some angry. Some heartbroken. Detective Carter walked in alone. No suit, no badge. Just a man with a folder full of truth. The room got quiet as he stepped to the microphone. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He just told the story. From the first time Emma came home with bruises, to the day she begged him not to call the school because it would make it worse, to the sickening moment he watched grown adults let children beat his daughter blindfolded, while staff stood and laughed. People cried. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others couldn't even look him in the eye. When he finished, he set the folder on the table. "These are your failures," he said quietly. "You failed her. You failed every quiet kid who walks these halls hoping to be seen. And now the world is watching." The school suspended multiple students. The teacher present during the incident was fired immediately. The principal? Placed under formal investigation for misconduct. But Carter wasn't done. He met with a local nonprofit that fought for bullied students' rights. They asked Emma to join a panel for youth awareness. She said yes, not because she wanted revenge, but because her voice, once silent, had become something far more powerful. Proof that survival isn't weakness, it's strength. 1 week later, Emma stood at a podium, not at her school, but in a library packed with parents and students from all over the city. She held the microphone with both hands. "I used to believe being quiet made me weak," she said, "but now I know. Silence isn't weakness. It's space. And in that space, I was watching, learning, preparing." She looked straight at the front row, where her dad sat beaming. "And now, I'm not quiet anymore." The room burst into applause. That night, Jessica watched the video on her phone. Alone. No party, no lights, no followers. Just her. And the consequences. For the first time, she realized something. Emma never wanted revenge. She just wanted to be treated like a person. And Jessica had stolen that. And now, the world had taken everything back. 3 weeks had passed since the gym incident, but the impact still echoed through every hallway at Roosevelt Middle School. There were new rules now, new cameras, new staff, and a new fear among students. That what they once did in whispers or group chats could now bring real consequences, because the quiet kids weren't silent anymore. Emma sat by the window of her new school, looking outside. The sun spilled across her desk, warming her hands as she sketched in her notebook. This school was different. No whispers behind her back. No cruel laughter. No fake birthday invites. Just peace, and people who saw her for who she really was. Girl with a sharp mind and a quiet kind of strength. Back in Roosevelt, Jessica's life had fallen apart. Her parents had spent thousands on lawyers trying to make this go away. But the damage was done. Expelled. Banned from all district schools. She spent her days in mandatory juvenile therapy sessions. Her name sealed in a report the school district didn't want the media to see again. Her phone? Wiped. Her followers? Gone. And the friends who once laughed at her side now crossed the street to avoid her. One afternoon, Emma received a letter. It was folded and sealed in an envelope with no return address. Her name was written in shaky CURSIV. Inside, it read, "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need to say this. I'm sorry. I was cruel. I was a coward. And you were the only one who didn't fight back with hate. I don't expect you to reply. I just wanted you to know I finally understand what I did." Emma stared at the letter for a long time. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She folded it gently and placed it in the back of her sketchbook. She didn't need revenge. She had peace, and Jessica? She had to live with the truth every day. Detective. Carter was back on duty now, but something in him had changed too. He'd spent years breaking down doors and arresting criminals. But nothing had prepared him for the helplessness he felt watching his daughter get broken from the inside. By children. Now, he ran a small program on weekends, Shield Club, a group where quiet kids could come, learn self-defense, and share their stories. No yelling, no judgment. Just safety. And understanding. Emma helped design the logo. It was a small girl with a shield bigger than her body, but behind her stood a shadow, a figure in SWAT gear. Her dad. Months passed. Emma's story spread across state lines. She was invited to speak at school assemblies. Her speech, always the same. People don't bully you because you're weak. They bully you because they're afraid you might be stronger than them. And the day you realize that, they lose all their power. One night, after a local TV station aired her interview, Carter found her asleep on the couch. Her sketchbook lay open beside her. He smiled. Inside was a new drawing. It was of a little girl in a crowd, bent under the weight of cruel words and bruises. But in the next panel, she stood tall. A cape made of stitched-together insults behind her. Like armor. Above it were 4 words in bold. They don't win forever. At Roosevelt, the gym was quiet again. The balloons had long since popped. Birthday posters taken down, but the memory stayed. Every student who had watched and said nothing now walked the halls different. Some were ashamed, some were afraid, but many had changed. Because Emma Carter didn't just survive. She ignited a movement. One day, a girl named Lily sat alone at lunch. She had a stutter, wore big glasses, fiddled with her sleeves when she was nervous. 3 boys laughed as they walked past, making fun of her voice. Before they could sit down, a student stood up. "She's not alone," the boy said. "She never was. And I'm done watching people like you act like this is normal." And just like that, a new voice rose. Another followed, and another, because Emma had taught them something. Silence doesn't keep you safe. It keeps the bullies strong. And as for Emma, she didn't need everyone to know her name. She didn't need a crowd cheering. She didn't even need an apology. All she needed was to keep living her truth, drawing her story, sharing her voice, helping the next quiet kid stand just a little taller. Because what the bullies didn't understand was this: the quietest girls often had the loudest legacies. Never mistake silence for weakness. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest strength, and when they rise, they don't just protect themselves. They teach the whole world how to stand up.